hold on. Like, wait, Maestro?
Is that not how you pronounce it? Maestro? Maestro?
Oh no, no. I just didn't. I didn't hear that. But that's like
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. Mark Ruffalo was like, yeah, it'd be cool to like come back as like Hulk's evil future version, the dude called Maestro, and it was like, oh shit, Mark Ruffalo knows about Maestro? That's crazy.
Well, Mark
And it was
Ruffalo
like,
is
yeah,
very much a nerd dork like we are. He's just also like an
yeah,
artsy dork. Like
no,
I
no,
mean,
but it's also
we know
hard to
that
know
too. So yeah.
but no, it's hard to know who's actually like one of us and who's just pretending for the clout and so they can get a job at Marvel. Like Taika Waititi, he says he like I can't tell. Like, at first, I thought maybe Taika did like comics, but now after all the shit he says, it's like, oh, you don't really care as much as I thought you did.
Well, I
You
mean,
just you're
Taika's
here
like
for the
also
check.
like Kevin three ways with like Rita Ora and Tessa Thompson and like Taika Waititi's cool. He's cool. He's too cool to care about comic books and like all this like other bullshit. He doesn't. It's fine. So whatever.
Supposedly,
Yeah, it doesn't matter to
the
him.
man's having himself a chocolate sundae every damn night.
Yeah.
You know, fine, good for you. I'm not gonna hate you for
I mean, no hate. Like he's vibing. I'm feeling him. It's just I get the vibe from him, and even like a lot of the other MCU creators sometimes that
they're too cool for school, too cool for that, for
yeah, and
actual
it,
work
it still feels
stuff.
like there's that
They're
like
just here for a check.
it goes back to that like Christopher Nolan thing of like
Mm.
oh maybe it's not even like really the Christopher Nolan thing. It's the Tim Burton thing of oh comics that childish like faggot bullshit. And it's like all right, well if that's how you feel, then why are you working on a comic book movie or show? Like
Well, yeah. I mean,
if you think
like
you're too
Nolan had
cool for it, then
actually
don't do
in
it.
yeah,
That's
Nolan
that's
had
my whole
said
thing.
he did read comics when he was younger, so he had an understanding of comics and he liked it. But a lot of these people, they either one don't really like comics or they look down on comics, and it's like, well, fuck you, man. Why are you even here? Like, why are you in these movies? Like Mark Maron saying, the MCU is for like guys who never grew up. Then why do you keep cashing the checks, asshole? You appeared in Joker and you appeared in Endgame. Like, why are you taking our money if you look down on us?
Because they can take your money.
Yeah, that's the fucking
That's
thing. That's like
because people keep
like
giving
don't
them
get
the
me
money. So
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. No, and like that's the thing. I like some of Mark Maron's comedy and shit, but when he said that, I remember thinking to myself, like, real talk, like honestly, like if you don't like MCU people, or if you don't like comic book movies or the fans of comic book movies, stop fucking taking the money. That makes him a hypocrite. Fundamentally, that makes him a hypocrite. Stop
true. But
fucking
I mean, as long as that market's still there, like people are still gonna go for it. Like
yeah.
like we were talking about this with She Hulk earlier. Um, it becomes that situation of who is this for? And
Exactly.
ultimately, I do think that the MCU is not really made for comic book like people anymore. It's the MCU is kind of like splintered into its own thing, which I think is interesting. And I don't. That's the thing. People always like kind of accuse me of like, oh, you hate the MCU. You're a hater. It's like, no, I don't hate it. I feel the same way about the MCU that I feel about like you know, like Power Rangers or
Or
uh,
separate universe.
JRPGs or stuff like that. Like I'm not, it's not for me, but just because it's not for me doesn't mean I hate it or like I think it's lesser than. It's just it's a thing where you just recognize what's for you.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And it's like,
we were watching She Hulk.
go
She
ahead
Hulk's
and
not
that's
made
like,
for. That's not for me. That's not for you.
yeah,
Um, Although I mean, why am I watching it? Because I'm a crazy person who is desperate for Daredevil content outside of the comics, which are always amazing. Like I think we talked about that in the last episode. We talked about Daredevil. Like Daredevil's one of those weird characters where he just like outside of that one Andy Diggle era, um,
well, that's more
like
like
Daredevil's
an
never
event.
had a
I
bad
always say
comic
that's
run.
more of an event. Yeah. Well, he's never had a bad comic run, but there have been like some like a few guys who have taken up whose runs have been not bad. They have just been okay. It's really hard to make a bad Daredevil. Like, I don't even know how you make a bad Daredevil. Oh, not I don't know
Well, I
how
can
you do
imagine how you can make a bad Daredevil run. Like it's called Shadowland, but that's like an
that.
event.
Well,
Which is
yeah.
why Daredevil like
And so
avoided events up until that point.
Which he should. He absolutely should. His story is more his story is a long format, and it can't just be summed up in one big event. For me, it's just like it's one. It's hard to do Daredevil poorly, so it's like and like, but fundamentally, I
See,
think
you
part of
keep
it
saying
is
that, but I feel like you're jinxing it now.
yeah, I feel like I am too.
Shut the fuck up, Greg. Stop jinxing Daredevil. Stop it.
But like it scares me because it's like who knows what Disney's gonna do with Daredevil, and it's like it has me worried sometimes.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people are
Disney
gonna
has Daredevil.
like people are really trying to retroactively praise Mark Waid's run and go like, oh, see, the Disney Plus show is gonna be lighter in tone, just like Mark Waid's Daredevil. And it's like, well, did you read Mark Waid's Daredevil? And they're like, no, but like I saw pictures of it on Twitter and it looked light and happy, and Chris Samney's art is fun. It's like, okay, well, the in the first 5 pages of Mark Waid's run, um, the fucking Spot uses his powers in like a very creative way, you know, to snap a mobster's neck in front of like his like 5-year-old niece, like at a wedding.
I love that though. I truly love it. And I've always said that the Spot was like an underrated villain. I told you this. I was like, the Spot's mad underrated. He's fun. I don't know. For me, he's always been so comic booky. That's what I loved about him.
Also, Mark Waid further cemented this idea that the Daredevil book is where Spider-Man villains go to actually be used to their fullest, most horrifying extent.
That's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not wrong. It's not
wrong. But yeah, no, like I don't know. It's one of those weird things where, on the one hand, I'm kind of worried about the Disney Plus Daredevil series because I haven't really liked any of the Disney Plus shows. But on the other hand, I'm kind of excited because one of the few things that I'll say rubbed me the wrong way about the Netflix Daredevil series is it sometimes felt a little too grounded. Like, I really like Daredevil, and I like the pulpiness of Daredevil. And when I say pulpiness, I mean I like the crime noir stuff. I like some of the pulp noir material. But I also like that Daredevil lives in a world of superheroes. You know, this is still the same street level character who interacts with like Spider-Man villains on a regular basis.
Right, but some people
it's the
don't
Batman
know
thing. You know, and I think we talked about that last time. You know, this is still a character that lives in a world of superheroes and super science and mysticism. So I don't know. I would appreciate if a lot more of those heightened elements were carried over in the character. And that's one of the things that I think could potentially be really cool about the Disney Plus Daredevil series.
Actually, yeah, but not everyone knows how to, like, we've seen it before, like, with Daredevil especially, not everyone knows how to perfectly integrate the mysticism and the superhero heroics with Daredevil. Some people, they just get lost and stuck up their own ass, and it's like, oh, well, more ninja equals better story. Like, no. More ninjas don't always equal better story, guy. Or Jeff Loeb.
What did Jeff Loeb do more ninjas?
What he means, like they Wait,
you have like a hate boner for Jeff Loeb. I'm curious about this. Like, what? I mean, I have a hate boner for Jeff Loeb, but like, you know.
No. Jeff Loeb was in charge of the Netflix TV content. He was the one who was overseeing like shit like season 2 especially, and also how season 2 would lead up into the Defenders. And it's like, well, so you know the comments he made about the Chinese stories and everything.
Oh yeah, where he's like, get these Chinamen out of our out of our Netflix show because nobody cares about them. But yeah, no, yeah.
Here's the thing: Nobu was supposed to have this really cool and interesting backstory where they was focused on him as like a criminal through the years, and it was supposed to be really cool and interesting. Now I don't know what it was, but I say, okay, well that's actually that's an interesting concept. But instead of doing that and really focusing on Nobu, they just put more and more ninjas. And it was like, well, more and more ninjas doesn't, like, in this particular case, more ninjas didn't mean better story. Like, like focusing on one specific guy, the head of the whole clan, like not fucking uh, uh the white lady and her little friends as the head of the hand, but like if you had really focused on Nobu, I think that would have been a very interesting
Well, is that
story.
the reason why
But they were
like
like,
Sigourney Weaver is the Beast of the Hand? Because I thought
and
that
they
was like
forgot
the
to use.
weakest part. I mean, of all the weak parts in when you get to Defenders, I thought that was the weakest part.
Everyone did, dude.
Like,
Everyone was like, wait, you guys just took Alexander Bond, gender switched him, and like he's not even interesting. They literally took one of Daredevil's characters and they just made him like the least interesting. Like I love Sigourney Weaver, but they literally were like, well, you guys took all the cool shit about the hand, like the beast, and you just removed that, and then you just made a shitty miniseries with a bunch of ninjas, and you thought more ninjas made a better story, but they didn't. They
which
had
is
focused on like,
that's interesting
no,
because I know when it comes to
yeah,
comics, Jeff Loeb
yeah,
doesn't like the ninja stuff at all with Daredevil. He always ignores it.
yeah. For some reason, he decided to double down on the ninja stuff because he that was the only
That's bizarre.
with all the
Um, and
huh?
it kind of like interesting, like interestingly contrasts um the way they kind of tell uh the origin,
Mm,
at least compared to Frank Miller
mm, yeah,
Man Without Fear. Which I like. I like both Man Without Fear and Daredevil Yellow for different reasons. But I mean,
right.
I know you love Daredevil Yellow. It's like your favorite. Your favorite.
You bastard, you.
Yeah, because you love it
No,
so much. It's you think it's the best Daredevil comic ever written. Way better than all that Miller crap,
yeah.
huh?
You bastard, you.
Yeah.
You.
In
But
fact, I
no,
once heard Greg
but
say
here's
that
the thing.
you know, in a world where Daredevil Yellow exists, who needs all this and Nascenti garbage? You know.
You, okay, now that makes me even more upset. No, but fundamentally, because there was like a demand, they were like, well, we have to do a group team up thing similar to like Honeycomb's Avengers, so they had to get them all together for one specific reason. So with using a bunch of stuff from the Iron Fist show and the Daredevil show, they were like, yeah, the hand makes the perfect sense. I was like, well, even if that was true, you guys use the worst parts of the hand from the comic, and you guys just you massacred like anything that was. You literally made ninjas boring, which like another guy said that, and you were like, how do you make ninjas boring? It's you keep using more ninjas, and they stop being ninjas. They're just essentially just like a wave of faceless guys in black in an army, and that's not what ninjas are. Essentially,
True, but I
you
will
literally,
say that hospital sequence in season two was great.
yeah, fine,
Like,
but
it was, like that, like at that point, that was like almost everything I ever wanted to see in a live action Daredevil
fine,
iteration.
fine. But the Punisher stuff was obviously everyone's favorite part, and it was like if you're gonna do hand stuff, you should have focused more on Nobu. You should have, honestly.
True, and I
Nobu,
like their Daredevil in that show a lot, but I mean, I like him more than I like him in the actual Daredevil series. But I mean, that's a whole that's a video for another day.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It just pisses me off.
yeah,
Like more
but
ninjas doesn't mean better
um,
story.
13 minutes in. What's up, guys? I'm the Mystical Green Beanie, and I am joined once again with the one, the only Gregopolis, uh, Greg Smash, Gregoroni and Cheese. Greg, how you doing?
Pretty good, you know, just the same old Greg from the block, no relation. And you know, I used to have a little, now I have a little more, not a lot.
Hmm.
Please don't sue me, Miss Lopez or Miss Lopez after.
Do your hips not lie? Wait, no, that's
I,
Shakira.
it's Shakira, yeah.
Sorry,
I,
wrong attractive Hispanic woman.
mm,
I guess I'll wear my racism hat today, along with Jeff Loeb. Uh,
like, hey, fuck up ninjas. Ninjas are inherently super cool. I made
yeah,
ninjas cool. I'm making the leaders really cool. I love supporting because just the next nerd. You make her the head. You just gender switched like, Alexander Bond. He's like a landlord, and you just decided, well, like, why don't we just gender swap him, and like that could be interesting. I was like, well, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I don't know. There were a lot of decisions made with the later Netflix stuff that I just don't get. Um, but I mean, outside of Daredevil, I didn't really like any of the Netflix shows. um, I mean, I
No,
know
I
that makes
get
me a
you. We
heretic,
talked
but
about how you.
hmm?
Yeah, no. We talked about like, shows are hit and miss.
Wait, sorry,
I
what
gotta say
happened?
that. No, the shows were very hit and miss. Like Daredevil was clearly the highest and the best show. There were other shows that had its like high moments and low moments, but none of the other shows really were as anywhere as good as
Yeah, I
Daredevil.
still think
One of
Daredevil was the high,
season
like
one.
the goat.
Everyone does, yeah.
But but like
Because
by a
inarguably it is. It's
yeah,
like saying like Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. It's
and
hard
it's
to
like
argue
by a
because like
far
no one
margin
like
too.
by a solid margin. Yeah,
Like
it's like no.
I did not like Jessica Jones at all. Um,
Oh well,
I
that's
told
where I disagree. I
well I told you
season
this
one.
when we talked to like at the comic shop.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Alias comic series. I
It's a
felt like
great
the Netflix
series. Yeah.
show was
No, I was agreeing with you. It's a great
oh yeah no
series.
like I
Continue.
love the
Sorry.
Alias comic series by Bendis. I think that is Bendis's hmm. I was gonna say that's his best work, but I really like Ultimate Spider-Man and I love his Daredevil run. Um, but
Man, falling into the depths of hell.
oh like when he goes to prison
Broken
in the end
man.
or
That it's just well, also that is also what happens to Mila Donovan or Mila Donovan, which is a Brubaker.
yeah. I mean
He didn't
that
deserve
is like
it.
the one problem I have with
He didn't
Bendis's run.
deserve it.
It doesn't have a proper ending. He just leaves a bunch of pieces on the table for Brubaker to pick up.
Yeah.
Um, but no, like I love Alias, and that show just kind of takes everything that I liked about the original Jessica Jones book and twist it to be this like weird Tumblr girl fanfic. It's like who
Uh,
wrote this?
well,
This is
I
bad.
I disagree with you, but okay, I disagree with you in regards to that. But fair enough. Each their own. I
Yeah.
love David Tennant's performance. I love this Purple Man might be one. I've always said it. Like Marvel and Netflix's shows, they had some of the best and worst villains in the MCU. That was the
Yeah.
crazy thing in that.
Because what was that
It's
Iron
like
Fist villain?
um, the first one was a woman named Gao, and then the second one was most.
Well, I
These
know Lady
Daphos
Gal,
wasn't
but I
bad.
mean like the dude who was like Danny Rand's like uncle or whatever the hell. Like, what was
Oh,
that?
Harold Meacham. Harold Meacham.
Yeah, like
In the comics, yeah. I think he's a smaller character, maybe. But
to be fair, I
he's
haven't
like,
read a
yeah,
lot of
he's
Iron
like
Fist.
Spider-Man.
I've only really read the Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction run. I really like that.
Mm,
I don't know. And they like weirdly
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
adapt characters from that in the show, but they do it in such a
kind of.
scaled down like Christopher
Um,
Nolan style, but like not good Nolan, like bad Nolan style.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. They
Yeah, this is
and they were
bizarre.
gonna do the whole thing at the end with Randy, with Randall. What is it? I forget it. One of the older Iron Fists, but they didn't get enough time. I feel like they really would turn it around in season three.
Is that season two? Because I
I
never
think
watched season
they were.
two.
Yeah, season two is a lot better than season one. And I feel like by the time if we had have gone to season three, I feel like the season three would have really like capped the show off very well.
Yeah, I
Because I feel like season three of Jessica Jones at least gave the show a nice ending. You might disagree with that.
is
I
season three
actually
Jessica
enjoy.
Jones the one with the wizard?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because I
But he
watched
only plays a
that and I
small
was like,
part.
this is
No, that's like one episode.
what are we
One
doing?
episode.
Um, Yeah, no, like Netflix Daredevil was like I think that's the undisputed king of the Marvel Netflix shows, and it's not close. It's not
Yeah.
close.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, you know, I mean, so yeah, I mean, if you're comparing all of them, then yeah, that one's the best by Daredevil season one, the best by far.
Yeah. Um,
Just by far.
it's kind of funny because I'm rewatching uh the Ben Affleck Daredevil director's cut film. I just have it in the background sometimes when I'm drawing. Um, I like that movie quite a bit. It's very different from the Netflix show, but as I was talking to one of my coworkers, um, the the Netflix Daredevil show and the Daredevil movie are adapting two very different aspects of the character. The show is very
You're not
much
wrong.
uh, that is a post Bendis style of Daredevil. We're going absolutely, gritty. It's humanist. If Matt gets punched in the face, well then he has a broken jaw and he's going to like have to get that rewired later. It's that very gritty like kind of Daredevil. But the movie is that it's kind of like that Daredevil Yellow kind of thing, or that classic Romita Senior era of Daredevil, where it's kind of fun loving, it's kind of swinging, it's kind of sexy, it's it's I don't know, it's lively and kind of like okay, seesaw fight, see like completely indicative of everything that movie is. It's pulling from like 70s Marvel Comics Daredevil. That's what that is.
That is. I remember the first time. It was one of the first of the original run with when Matt first meets the owl.
Yeah.
It's just like how he's describing him, and it's just like so weird and it's so funny. It's just man, when he breathes, it's about him. It's all focused and controlled and concentrated in the act of evil.
Yeah.
And it's like I liked how they wrote it back then because it was just so like silly. But it was also like it was over explaining things, but in a fun, interesting way that I was kind of like the old vintage comics.
No, I like that too. Um, that's also a universe where I could see the owl.
Yeah, but they
Um,
decided to do something differently, and they decided to make a change.
well, like
Like
the
that guy's
Netflix show kind of made him the owl like kind of name is it's a nickname because he stays up all night doing everyone's books, but
yeah.
I mean that's
But he's an
cool.
account. He's a dirty accountant, but it's fine. It's whatever, I guess. I mean, that guy's a really talented actor,
No,
and a
I
lot of
liked
the
him a
stuff he
lot.
does is just yeah. But he's not really the daredevil. He's just like he's a dirty accountant, which is like fine, okay. But he didn't necessarily have to be called the owl. He could have been any. And
True,
like
but that's
maybe they
also
were
like
scared
the
actually.
well, no, they do call him the owl, because that's like the name that he's given by the I think the Russians, in
Right? No,
season
I
one.
get that. He very much is Owlsley. I'm not saying that he isn't. It's just like maybe they were just scared to really do him. Like like
Well, yeah, well, that's also the thing with the Netflix show. Again,
yeah.
as much as I really love that show, it did shy away from some of the more comic booky aspects of the character of Daredevil.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
I
mean,
think it
they
worked
felt
for the
like
story
they
they were
had to.
telling. Just
No, no, it does. It does.
yeah. Now that
It's
you're
hard to.
now
Yeah.
that we're properly embracing Daredevil comics and like the comic booky nature of the character with like that vibrant yellow and black suit,
Hmm.
um, I don't know. Maybe you can lean more into some of the more absurd elements of the character, like have Stiltman. I'd be down with
Well,
Daredevil fighting Stiltman.
they're never gonna do still, man. I'm sorry, but
Just
they're
because you
never.
said
They
that,
don't have the.
he's gonna be in the Disney Plus show. That's how that's the stinger for the first trailer. It's gonna be Stiltman. I
No, they don't
guarantee it.
have the
Just because you
balls
said
to do
so.
still, man. I promise you, they don't because they'll be like, no, it's too dumb, it's too comic booky, it's too Silver Age. They don't have the balls to do still, I promise you. And which still, the original one or maybe Turk Barrett? They're not gonna do Stilt.
If they
Man,
did
come
the
on.
original one, that'd be cool. But I would kind of like it if they did Turk, just as like a payoff for like.
Not gonna do
Yeah.
Stilt, man. They don't have they're too scared of it. It's too comic booky, and they think they'll be like, oh well, what if the fans think we're making fun of them, or that we're not taking it seriously enough, or we're taking it too like they'll like in these type of shows, like you can see how they. Yes,
Well, I mean, we're also like
obviously,
in a
especially
post like Avengers Endgame world where, I mean, they're gonna give you like Thor Ragnarok and like Love and Thunder, for all the problems I have with those films. They're vibrant and they do like have the aesthetic of Thor comics. It's just they do it very poorly, because those people don't respect comics.
they do. But can you really imagine them doing like the owl, like a dude wearing a big giant green trench coat with that old fashioned haircut?
Well, I mean, he's probably no, because he's dead. If
fair
we're
enough.
gonna
Or
go
like,
off the Netflix continuity, but you know,
right? Yeah, he is dead. Yeah.
Spoilers for Daredevil season 1, which came out like 5 years, like 10 years ago. Wait, 10 years? No, it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
No. Like 7?
7? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 7. So yeah, but like I don't know. It's just some character. Like there's a reason why with Purple Man they didn't make his skin purple. They just
which I think you could have gotten away with.
well,
I think you definitely could
a
have
guy
gotten away
like
with
David
that.
Tennant, he's so talented it didn't matter. Like he could have, like again, because he's a very talented actor. They could have put the purple uh, makeup on him, but they didn't have to. Like the whole him wearing purple suits and clothing was a nice. It was a nice way to like get past it. And so yeah, he's just the purple.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever once call him Purple. They just always call him Kilgrave. Not even, and his name isn't even Zebediah Kilgrave. Kilgrave's like a moniker. His middle name's Kevin something. Like
And he dies in season 1, right? Of Jessica Jones?
He does, yeah. She snaps his neck. Like,
yeah. Okay, so he's not coming back.
Right.
Which would have been interesting because I love in Daredevil Yellow when which again is your favorite comic of all time. I love how Matt just kind of like circumnavigates Kilgrave completely after Kilgrave kidnaps goddamn, what's your name? Ashley Aids. What's her face? She gets killed by Bullseye.
Page?
Yeah, Karen Page. When
how do you forget her name?
Huh?
For a second, I thought you were thinking about a completely different character.
No, I forgot her name. That's why I said Ashley Aids, because she thinks she has AIDS because of Mysterio.
Yeah, I remember that. They're the weird dude.
Which I forgot is the lead-in to Bendis's Daredevil, which we could talk about later.
People always forget that the Kevin Smith 15 issues. People want to forget. Maybe it's not Kevin Smith's best work, but it's also not his worst work.
Well, I think it's great. Because it sets up everything for. It lays the groundwork for Bendis's entire run, I feel. But we'll talk about that a little bit. But what I was kind of getting at was that I really like how Kilgrave, like he's that scene where he kidnaps Karen Page and he's about to like make her strip naked, and Matt Murdock just like shows up and is like, nope, we're not doing that, not doing that. And he's like, I'm gonna mind control you. He's like, no, you're not. I'm a ninja. Shut up. And Tim Saleh, rest in peace. He did a great job illustrating that. That's a beautiful book. I love that comic so much.
I mean, the man was a great artist. I'm not taking that away from him.
Yeah, and I guess I will defend Daredevil Yellow, like I'm Saul Goodman in a court of law, because you're a heretic and you need to be publicly humiliated for not liking this comic that I like.
Yeah, that if this was Reddit, you'd be tearing me apart. This man doesn't like Daredevil Yellow. They might be just ripping it out.
Well, it's fine. Like I got torn apart on Reddit for not liking Superman Kingdom Come or Kingdom Come, whatever the fuck. I don't like that book at all. But
I mean, each their own. But like, who gives a fuck what other people think about like your specific comic?
Well, because this internet person disagree with me, they're obviously Satan.
No, fair, but like I especially don't care if it's like a person who isn't that big of a comic fan, but even if you are a big comic fan, you know, whenever, well, it's different between me and you. You know, I respect your taste, you respect mine, but like
I
when
don't
someone
respect
else
your
says some shit
opinion.
like, "Oh,
Shut up. Get out of here. Get out of here.
whatever," okay, it's just, but like when someone doesn't like a comic I like, it's like, hey, to each their own. If you didn't like that one, you didn't like that one. If you like a one that I don't like, I might have an opinion about that. I might even think,
Yeah, man.
I tell
Look,
you,
I
it's like,
respect
I don't
that. I
care.
respect that you love pregnancy porn, and I'm glad that you confided in me about that. But
Yeah,
um,
I mean,
you know,
I don't. And stop clothing people that. But people are starting to look at me differently. And but no, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, because you know what one of Kevin Smith's better runs is his Green Arrow run, which does feel like it owes a lot to guys like Neil Adams. It's one of it's one of the better Green Arrow runs of that time, and it's like, well, yeah, but like, people love to shit on Kevin Smith
I don't know
nowadays because
why. Kevin Smith's a
some
really good writer.
yeah, but sometimes it's just a thing, or it's like people just love to shit on him, especially now because a lot of the other stuff. But it's like, you know what? No, I don't care if you don't like Kevin Smith, whatever. Like one, I liked his Green Arrow, and you're not gonna tell me different. I liked his Green Arrow, you know.
Yeah, I think his Green Arrow run's really
His
good. I also think he learns
yeah,
his mistake from his Daredevil run, which
mm,
is less words on the page. Um,
yeah,
if I have
yeah.
one problem with Guardian Devil, it is Joe Quesada is an amazing artist, and I don't get it. I don't get to see enough of his art because Kevin Smith just fills the entire page with words.
Yeah,
um,
Mr. Casada, if you're listening, which I have no reason to believe that you are not, maybe a little more drawing, a little less editing, you know, just for the future.
I mean, he did that startup with Frank Miller. So that's gonna be a new imprint. I think early next year. Um,
But like people with Casada, it's like a lot of people really hate Casada, but it's like, well, no, he does do some great artwork. It's just the man was going through a
no,
really bad divorce, and he
people hate
decided to
Quesada
take that
because of
out
One
on
More
all of
Day.
us.
That's literally all it is.
Well, he was going through a bad divorce. It's like he just, I don't know. The man was having troubles. I don't want to think too badly of him. There was a time when I got really upset about One More Day, but then it was like, well,
Well, One More Day
when
is
an
also like
artist
not
in your
his fault. Like even before Quesada was like editor in chief, everyone
yeah,
at Marvel was trying to break Peter and MJ up for like a decade and a half. So like
he,
no, that's not
people
that does
don't
not
want
fall on the
Peter
shoulders
to
of
be
Joe
happy.
Quesada. He's the man who
Yeah,
pulled the trigger, but that was a proverbial gun that was aimed at Peter and MJ for like basically ever since Peter and MJ got married in the first place. So
yeah.
that's not Joe Quesada's fault.
Yeah, well, people don't like him being happy. People just fundamentally do not want to see Pete with like a wife and or kid. And
Which is
every
like
time we get close, we reboot it. So it's like, no, Peter cannot be happy, and he can't be more. He can't be older than late 20s, early 30s.
which is bizarre because like that's not what the Marvel universe is founded on fundamentally. But the
Right,
Marvel
right,
universe was conceived of as being the counter DC universe, like the DC
right.
universe, especially in the Silver Age. And I've talked about this in my video where I kind of just go ham on Silver Age Superman, and how much
Mm,
I just don't like the Silver Age of DC at all. But um, like Silver Age DC is very much it's structured like Family Guy and The Simpsons and American Dad and a lot of these other like adult animated cartoons where you go on an adventure and then you break the status quo in a weird kind of way and then you find weird plot devices to MacGyver yourself back to the status quo so that nothing changes and everything's fine and everything remains the same. And DC Comics was like that for about 20 years. Um,
doesn't matter. It's comics, baby. It's
yeah, comics
all
code.
gravy to me.
Keep
It's
the
all
comics
gravy to
code
me, man.
so our children don't become gay communists. Isn't that right, Frederick Wortham? Uh,
Yeah, but
but
yeah, no, it's just I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Though.
but Marvel
That's
was
why
created as
you
the
love
antithesis of that.
Marvel. No, I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and So like you were supposed to see like Peter Parker grows up in real time, basically in that in those Spider-Man books.
issue
Um,
20, issue 25, he's out of high school. He was
28,
only in
yeah,
high school for 28, 25. Yeah, he was only in high school for 3 years. It's like for some reason he's done I don't know how many movies, like 4 movies, and he's in high school. And it's like, well, he left high school after in 1965. Guys, come on.
yeah.
Like, well,
Like
what
Peter
the fuck?
Parker's actually been out of high school longer than he was ever in high school. In fact, okay, Spider-Man has like had what? How many issues? Like five, like over 500 now.
Depend. Do we mean spectacular and amazing? And what
Like
do we
I'm
even
like
mean?
going off of the Amazing Spider-Man book, like
Okay,
over
yeah,
like 500 issues of the Amazing Spider-Man.
yeah,
Or no, 600 now, right?
yeah.
I mean, I know Marvel editors can't
Pretty
count.
right,
Which
right. But they were going pretty consistent until the '90s. With like they were at 300 some during the '90s, and then
okay. So Peter
I
Parker
think
graduates
we're at
college in like
at
170 something.
mm,
Like he graduates
yeah,
college
yeah.
pretty early on. Like that's a character that like grows and changes in real time. Um, you see like a lot of characters like the Fantastic Four. Uh,
Hmm.
Franklin Richards is like a '70s creation, if I'm not mistaken. And we've watched him grow up, kind
Kind
of.
of grown up, then rebooted, and but yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you're saying. These
but the
people
Marvel
used
universe is
to at
supposed to be
some point,
kinetic. It's supposed to be forever in motion. Um,
right?
it like if DC is a pantheon, Marvel is a soap opera. You know, you're watching these
Hmm.
characters forever grow and change, sometimes regress, but even through regression, there is growth from your new status quo. Um,
Exactly. Even the villains have kids, and sometimes, in some cases, grandkids. It's like everyone's having kids, everyone's moving forward at
exactly.
some point in their lives. So it's like at some point, you guys have to admit that, like, Peter can't be a teenager anymore. He can't be in his 20s. He has to at some point grow. You know?
Yeah, which I don't know, but again, like we were saying with earlier, Daredevil. Daredevil's one of those weird exceptions where he does get to grow and change. Like Matt Murdock is one of those weird characters where I think he, above anyone else, really, sticks to that uh, original kind of storytelling style that Marvel pioneered with their with American superhero comics, at least. Um,
Yeah.
because
Well,
not
by
comics
now,
like European comics have characters age in real time, and that's just how they do it over in Europe and the Brits. But at least with Daredevil, Daredevil's a character who is always growing, always changing, always regressing because and it's not like a editorial thing. It's just Matt Murdock is a self-destructive personality, so he can't help but
he's a mess.
yeah, he can't help it. Um, but yeah, no, Daredevil is one of those few characters that actually does stick to the Marvel comic storytelling ideology. I feel.
For
Um,
the most part, yeah. For, which is
yeah,
part of what I love about him. But like, it's like,
and I do like how as time goes on, the character gets a little darker. To the point now where it's
oh
just
yeah,
like pitch black pain, like borderline reading Berserk. Okay, not Berserk, but it is pain.
yeah.
It's nothing
It's
but
very. I
pain.
know it gets because that's what his life is. His life is just this like
Yeah, and
trudge towards death.
which is why finishing that thought that I had earlier, which we kind of like went off on a tangent uh, before I can get to uh, which is why I really like a book like Daredevil Yellow, because that is a story that is looking at the early Ditko and Don Heck era with rose tinted glasses, which is perfect
Mm.
because Daredevil wears rose tinted glasses because he's blind. um, but I like that I'll say unreliable narrator, kind of uh, overly nostalgic and sentimental storytelling, um, uh, like technique or style for that book. In contrast to Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. is very gritty, very grimy, very like in the weeds and in the mud. Um, Daredevil, Man Without Fear, because you're looking at the origins of Matt Murdock from two separate perspectives. Um, where I get the feeling that like the Man Without Fear origin is the actual origin. That's what actually happened. But Daredevil Yellow is how Matt likes to think it happened.
Mm.
Because he's as his world gets darker, the past just gets a little brighter for him. Wait, what?
It's not. It's been. You look at the women, just look at everything. Like, how many times has Daredevil killed one of his chicks? Like twice? I think. Yeah, twice. And then Mr. Fear, Mr. Fear, and arguably did something far worse. Like Mr. Fear might be one of the worst dudes ever. The shit he does is just like darkest.
True, but at least
And
Mia gets
you
to
know,
live.
you call that living? The woman,
Well, I mean, she's stuck in a mental
like,
institution for the rest of her life, but you know, she's at least she's not dead, like every other Daredevil girlfriend.
yeah,
Well,
man,
no,
he needs to
Kristen
stop
gets Kristen's alive
dating. He needs
for now. Kristen is alive
for
for
now, but
now.
he just needs to start going to prostitutes, man. Like, if you need sex, just go to prostitutes. Because every time you pick up a new girlfriend, you whole life's just planning on shooting her through the brains in front of you.
Except Matt Murdock would somehow find a way to mess that up too, because he do a whole like Mary Magdalene thing, and then she ends up being crucified because he can't like like her being crucified publicly would be more punishment for him than it would be for her. Like no, yeah, uh, yeah, no. Matt is dating Matt Murdock at this point in the Marvel universe. That's at your own risk. Like,
It
ma'am, you
really
know who this is. Like, like
But
come
yeah,
on.
and that's one thing I hate. That's one thing I hate about the shows. Not hate about the show, but it's something I know I'm not gonna like for the future because they're gonna be so scared to fall into that like whole stereotype of the girlfriends of superheroes life that none of those girlfriends are gonna be able to like you can tell like stories where they're put in like serious danger because you know they're too scared to actually kill any of his actual girl.
Well, that's kind of the thing I liked about the Netflix show.
No, I did too. I did. We really thought Karen Page was gonna be killed, but then it ends up spoiler alert being Father Lantham, and it was like, oh, that's a really good subversion. But I feel like it's not going to be subversive anymore because they're going to keep doing shit like that because they don't want to be seen as sexist. Well, we can't
True,
actually kill girlfriends. You
but
know they're going to be very scared about that.
but I will say, um, that way if Karen gets to live, you can have a finale for Matt Murdock where you flash forward 10 years in the future and you just kind of straight up adapt End of Days, where you find out that Matt Murdock
Um,
seeded the entire Marvel universe because he's Catholic, so he doesn't believe in condoms. So just a whole
well,
generation of just redheaded little kids running around, redheaded little
but yeah, no,
kids
I
with
go. No,
potential
no, I get. I
explosive anger issues.
no, which is funny. Don't get me wrong. I did love that, but I'm saying though, like they're gonna. I feel like maybe it's one of those things where it's like, well, we don't want to be seen as sexist, so it's like, maybe we can't have any of his girlfriend be killed, but we can have him seriously injured. Like, you know, one of his girlfriends could be put in a coma or something.
Well, that's also the point of Daredevil. So I feel like if you shy away from that, well, then you're not doing Daredevil, and there's no point in doing Daredevil.
Yeah, but they also don't want to be seen as sexist. That's the problem. Like in this day and age, people would rather like monitor their own work so much than they would to stir up controversy.
True.
Sometimes artists are so scared to do actual real work because the backlash could fuck their whole career up, take food out of their mouths, make it so that they can't provide for themselves or their employees or their families. So it's like, well, you got to toe the line, which is bad for art, it's bad for everyone in general.
I feel you, but I feel like that's not unique to the current shows and stuff like that. Like you even have that in the
No, it's
comics.
not.
Like
Yeah,
and it's
it's
not even like a
not.
modern thing too. Like because I'm going back and reading a lot of some of the Bendis stuff. Just because I'm finally able to collect some of that material now. Um, like Bendis has Matt Murdock running as a Democrat for DA, or like the DA. I think like he's being like championed um, to not DA. God damn it! What I don't remember the position it was, but it was distinctly the Democratic Party was like, "Hey, Matt Murdock, we like you. You should come join us." And Matt's like, "I'm thinking about it."
Oh, I think
Matt Murdock
it
is
was
not a
during it
Democrat. Matt
was
Murdock would be a straight. He is he is a like from the ghetto, like bootstraps, like like Irish Catholic, like New
hmm,
Yorker, like '80s New Yorker. No, he would be a Republican. Just
yeah,
from a
I thought
character
about
standpoint, Matt Murdock is a Republican.
no, which I thought about. I genuinely thought about. I thought about which characters in the Marvel universe would either be Democrats or Republicans, and I thought to myself, well, like, okay, Iron Man is obviously Republican. He says so as much as I can
I mean,
genuinely
Tony
say, but
Stark
like also
was
guy,
the Secretary of Defense for George W. Bush. That's
right?
Marvel
Yeah, that's
hasn't retconned
canon,
that
and
either.
yeah, well, which is fine because I think it's important to show different and distinct personalities and different points of views. But I think Daredevil, that's the thing. I know Anna Senti wrote him as a very progressive, almost liberal character, but I think to myself, well, he might be a public. Then again, so would Kingpin, and that might fuck with him and like his point of view and everything, and be like, oh,
Well, I don't know if Kingpin
Kingpin's
would really care. I think Kingpin is like so above that world. To him, it doesn't matter. He just like Kingpin. I think represents the oligarchy. Like he just is the money, but behind every political side of the like everyone on the political spectrum. He's just all right. I'll throw you money as long as you let me keep doing what I'm doing. I don't care.
mm.
I've seen politicians come and go. It doesn't matter to me. I actually run the city,
For him, it's
so
all about the
yeah,
power. Yeah, exactly. He's straight up Robert Moses, and it's like
yeah.
that's he just runs everything. That
And Robert
person
Moses was operating
is
under uh, the Eisenhower administration and the Kennedy administration and the Johnson administration, and then
called
the
himself a progressive, but he wasn't.
wait, was he still operating by the time he got to Nixon, or was he dead by then?
It was 30 or 40 years. So it was from like the 50s to like no, it might have been from 50s straight through the 70s. I'm trying to remember.
Because I know Chicago goes under like major redevelopments in the not Chicago, New York goes under major redevelopments from the late 30s through the 70s. Um, and I might be mistaken, but like, isn't the World Trade Center like one of the last big things like Moses kind of pioneers?
Okay, so he was in office from actually he was in office from 34 to 60 until the 60s. He
Okay,
did work in other places. In New York, he
okay,
was
so
in New York.
that's like Lyndon B. Johnson era.
Yeah, the man, he was a power player. And it's like the same thing with this. Might not like I'm thinking about when he ran for like uh mayor of New York. I don't know if he ran. Did they ever say if he was a Republican or a Democrat?
I don't know if you ran for mayor of
I
New
think
York, although I don't really know like New York era. Like I don't know New York
I
uh
mean,
like history that well because I'm not from New York.
no, I get that. I meant Kingpin when he ran for mayor. Was he
Well,
running as a
Kingpin is
Democrat?
mayor of New York right now.
He run as a Republican or Democrat, or do you know? Or
I think he ran as an independent.
Oh, well, that was. Oh, that's okay. Smart, I guess. So
Um,
yeah, for guys like that, it's just about the power. I guess it doesn't matter about the.
yeah. Well, it's in the same way that like Lex Luthor ran as an independent um, in the 2000s as for when he was president, even though he had even though most of his policies were very much in line with the Republican Party of the
At the time, yeah,
of
like
the
fundamentally,
late 90s,
you
early
would think he
2000s.
would be a Republican, and that's weird. You would think Luther would definitely be a Republican because he's a sense. Well, yeah, because he's. I mean, especially the Burn era. Yeah, you would be a Republican. That's weird.
True, but I also think uh, when it comes to like these kind of massive like IP characters, it's hard to you don't want to rustle too many feathers, you
I
know.
don't, but that's the thing though. It's like because both sides want to see the other one as this terrible, awful like villain, you can't even give them any sort of humanity. And it's like, well, if we made Daredevil a Republican, then he would be a bad guy. No, he would be a guy who truly believes in like his own like his Catholic Christian views and his own like
Yeah, he wouldn't be a
he
bad
wouldn't
guy.
be a
He would just be another guy on the street in New York.
exactly. But people love to demonize uh, the other rival, and it's even me something. I'll even like talk about like my opposition, and I'll be like, well, those guys they don't give a fuck about like really important, but it's like they're not villains. So we can't like that's a problem as Americans. We see enemies or our political enemies as actual enemies when they're not. They're just fellow Americans. Even Matt Murdock was a Republican when he was voting.
Yeah. Um. Uh. But I forgot how we got on this point. But it does make me want to talk more about the Bendis run on Daredevil. Um. And kind of like horseshoeing back to Guardian Devil. Um. Something that I never quite realized until very recently is that the end of Guardian Devil, in showing Karen Page like die, uh, you lead kind of just right into Bendis and Malieve's Daredevil, and part of the reason why I think Matt is not thinking straight, um, and why he's making a lot of these like extremely irrational decisions, um, and like testing himself in situations where it's maybe not appropriate to test himself, or just kind of push boundaries that people have. Um, he's in mourning. Like Karen
He
Page
is,
just
yeah,
died.
yeah. If I need people to leave I'm getting to that.
Oh wait, sorry, you're cutting out. What happened?
It's when Bonnie says at the movie, it's when he doesn't realize
Sorry, you're still cutting out on me. I'm sorry.
Miles.
Wait, what was that?
What he says about Matt, Matt is he's clearly suffering. He's clearly still in pain from the death of Karen Page. That's why he's essentially got a death. He never recovers from the death of Karen. And I feel like he's reading this well. He's right, like, suffers from the death of Karen. Well, through Bendis' run and it's not really until Wade gets some kind of person.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I think you're. It sounds like you're going through a tunnel, but I know you're not.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there.
Shit. I think I lost. I think I lost Greg.
Hello? No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. There you are.
I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still.
Sorry, you kind of started
I'm
saying like the Flash for a second.
Flash. Oh, it's gonna be uh,
Well, we've lost Greg.
no, still here.
Oh shit! There you are. Okay.
Yeah, I keep talking, but like I'm getting like you're the one who I can't hear. I don't know if you're saying anything, but I keep talking just in case you don't think I'm getting disconnected.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Just like I don't know. That was weird.
Should should we like cut it off and then should I call you back?
Um, hold on. I think we should be good because you sound good now.
Okay, you're sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just saying like it's not until Wade's run that Matt gets like some closure because throughout Bendis and Brubaker's run, you can see that Matt still pains for it's just really from the last page. And even to this day, he still thinks about her. Warns her. Why he starts asking death just to be caring whether he loves or not.
Yeah, and I haven't read the Wade run. At least not in its entirety. Like I said, I read the beginning of it and I read the end of it, but I haven't read the middle of it at all.
Well, we're gonna see a whole bunch of Wade bandwagoners. And I'm like, oh wait, Wade's Daredevil was actually uncut. It was a gem, really, that no one else appreciated. It was like, no, fuck you. You didn't read Wade's run when it was going. You were probably one of the people who complained about it. So don't talk about how his run was so like incredible. Like Wade's a great, Wade's a great writer, but they always complain like, oh, this isn't necessarily what I want from a Daredevil run. It's like, now I'm going to be on the bandwagon. Oh, Wade was actually really great. It was everyone else who was complaining.
Well, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
like Mark Waid. I just didn't like him on Daredevil.
Yeah,
It's like a
but that's
personal
fine.
taste thing.
You're honest, and you're very honest about it. And you said saying that, but a lot of people are going to be like bandwagoners. They're going to be like, oh, I actually like Wade's run. And they're going to be like, you bitch, you did it.
It's gonna be like people
Just
who are like always claiming to be like I was always a Shang-Chi fan. It's like shut the fuck,
fuck you.
shut
You
up.
were not a Shang-Chi fan. Like people who said that, oh yeah, I actually always like Shang-Chi. I had a bunch of his I had a bunch of his 70s stuff. I was like, oh,
Were you at the comic
what do you
shop when
not?
we were talking about Shang-Chi and then someone tried to correct me and say actually it's pronounced Shang-Chi? You know, like in the older, it's like who are you? I don't know who
Uh,
you are. I've never seen you in the
but
store
wait,
before.
were they trying to? They were trying to correct you, but you're like, oh, the correct Chinese pronunciation is like, well, even if it is, that's not what everyone else here is saying.
Well, it's also like
So why are you being a jerk?
it's also like okay, Shang-Chi. How do you pronounce Fu Manchu? Who is his dad? You know? Yeah,
Yes.
that
The whole thing.
is there a is there a less racist way for me to pronounce that?
Like, but, but point is, like, we're just gonna see a whole bunch of bandwagoners,
As
whatever.
is the case. Like it's the
Yeah,
same thing
it
where
is. It
people
is
are
what it
like
is.
everyone loves Thanos now, even though they're always like I love Thanos. His whole thing is balance. It's like no, his whole thing is death. Like Thanos is like literally
Mhm.
this like space Satan in Jim Starlin's like Marvel cosmology. But okay, all right, cool, sure, whatever you say. Um,
Black, old, yes, dusty body cheeks or whatever. Just like that. Like
um,
in Deadpool, both want them. Like, like they both want death. And like, well, she kind of likes Deadpool a little more, but she's also like
which I
the
absolutely
game.
love. I
It's
love
so
how the
odd.
Marvel universe
It's so
just works like
weird.
that. Like Thanos is
Uh,
perpetually getting cucked by Deadpool.
Deadpool of all characters, and it's like And Deadpool at sometimes, yeah, he does almost embrace her, but he also like brushes her off and is like, "Oh, girl, you love this. I want you to even care about it. It's hard, buddy. I feel bad for him.
I
I have an
don't.
ice
I
cream
mean,
cone. I'm like, oh,
Thanos has had a hard life, but no, no, bad person.
buddy, girl you love doesn't love you back. That's always hard.
Hey man,
He's
we've
like,
all
I
had
will
that
destroy
problem. It's
half the
fine.
universe. He's like, I'll destroy half the universe. No, I'll destroy the whole universe. Then you'll have to love me. Oh,
Oh, you don't like
buddy,
me?
she won't.
I'm gonna make a Rule 63 version of myself to make you jealous.
Then he creates a perfect like mate for himself just to make her jealous. Oh, buddy,
I love it.
Thanos.
I love it. It's great.
But yeah, it's one of the.
But also, noticeably absent from that story, Matt Murdock. Uh,
Like, Daredevil again. It's like you said, Daredevil.
he's not in any events until I think he's in like one page on one panel in like Atlantis Attack or
Secret
something
Invasion.
like that. But he's not.
Is he in Secret Invasion? Like, kind of a little bit. Or am I missing?
No, no, he's not in
He's
Secret
not
Invasion.
in Secret Invasion. I thought he was in the end battle at the end where the like all the huge Skrull army is going up against the heroes. Is he
I
not
don't
there?
think so. I think
Shit.
I think like Daredevil manages to like avoid everything. Also
Yeah.
Daredevil wouldn't have been in the country at that time period because that's when Brubaker has Matt in
Yeah.
Spain, I
And
think.
right, okay. And so the first time he's ever in an event is when
Shadowland.
is Shadowland, and then he shows up like in some of these events, like he was in War of the Realms. It's like, oh, Daredevil really shouldn't be in these events. He's like the definition of a street level hero. He doesn't want to mix it up with these people. He turns down working with. He turns down being an Avenger so many times, even more times than Spider-Man does this.
Yeah. Although Daredevil's cool with the Avengers,
And he is.
because like Matt
He's
Murdock
not a jerk.
at least used to be a well-adjusted human being. Um, Peter Parker was like always an asshole to the other superheroes except for Daredevil. Um, like Spider-Man. It's funny because since I'm like reading a bunch of this Daredevil stuff, I'm also going back and rereading a lot of the older Ditko Spider-Man. Like I think I was telling you this yesterday. Um, what an absolute just psycho soap opera Spider-Man comics used to be. Like holy crap, dude.
Yeah, they very much were.
Yeah,
Very
like
much.
like it just all of, like okay, everyone in those stories, I just want to slap them across the face and say all of your problems are your own fault. Everything you're complaining about in life is by your own design. You are a bad person. You deserve this.
Those characters, they're just drama for drama's sake. They are just
Oh, dude, like all the weird stuff with Betty Brant, where she's like, "Oh no, I'm 25, but I'm in love with my underage coworker, so I have to make him jealous by dating my other underage coworker, Ned Leeds. But he doesn't love me because I'm 25. I can't date this 15-year-old." It's like, okay, Betty, you're 25. Knock it off. First of all, actually, go to jail, fucking groomer asshole. Like, just. You need to
probably
be put
should
under
be.
the jail.
Probably should be, but no one ever really talks about it. Yeah, so it's one of those things.
Like if Spider-Man comics were made like today, if you just adapted Ditko era Spider-Man comics, Betty Brant would have the do you know maps? Have you been subjected to the torture of the internet like I have? Do you know what a map is?
I don't know if I know exactly what you're specific. Remind me. What is
like pedophile, like with the I'm a minor attracted person. Like the yeah. That Betty Brant would have that flag like pinned to her to her lapel.
I mean, which is funny because it's one of those things where it's like, something like, because I know that they have to go around telling people, but I guess like sometimes they don't. So it's like there are all these websites that will straight up show you if they're in your neighborhood, which are the people who are listening, just so you know, you can Google whether or not there's in your neighborhood, just so for your own knowledge. You should probably. That's a Marvel tip.
Mm. Well,
So
thank you for your tip. We like your tip, Greg.
welcome.
Just the tip, though.
Just to keep you all safe. Keep
Yeah.
you all safe. And
See, Greg's tip keeps
Betty
you
Branch,
safe.
Betty branches on Lucy. She's creepy. Yeah.
Greg just runs around your neighborhood, like, flashing his tip, like, quick tip, guys.
Yeah, no, so I get what you're saying though, but these characters, it was how it felt like Spider-Man used to be written, and also just a lot of these characters. But yeah, it's funny because you also said you wanted to talk a little bit about Spider-Man. Is it when you said you want to talk about Spider-Man, is it
We
his
can do that, like,
relationship?
next week. I just, because...
No, yeah, no, I know what you meant.
Because I know, like,
Like,
when you asked to do this video, like, they're ready to, like, do a part 2 to, our Daredevil, discussion. Because you felt like we talked a lot about Spider-Man, a lot more about Spider-Man than we did actual Daredevil.
right, but only as in how Spider-Man's relationship specifically intersects with Daredevil. Like I meant, like okay, so maybe I didn't like. I was trying to tell you that. I was like, if you want to do the Spider-Man thing separately, we can. But I was talking about Spider-Man and his relationship with Daredevil and how their villains intersect and just basically everything and how their relationship reflects both Murdoch and
Yeah, no, yeah,
Spider-Man. But like specifically,
yeah.
well, yeah. So talking about Daredevil right now, is there like something that has always struck you about Daredevil and Spider-Man's relationship? Just to
Um,
flip that up.
I mean, like, I'll say this, like, in a very pained fanboy kind of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Matt and Peter knowing who each other were.
Mm.
Uh, which I
Yeah, so
think,
do I.
like, I really suspect just based off the way Zdarsky's been writing his run currently, I think we're gonna get back to that. I think that might be the last thing that Zdarsky does in his run. That might be the way he ends it. Actually, I that's my prediction. I'm predicting it. Um, because
Okay, fair enough.
I well, first of all, Marvel needs to get better at reprinting some of their classic stories.
They do, yeah.
But
For that Marvel,
hmm?
get better at reprinting some of your. You know, I was telling Marvel how to like run their business. Hey, this is grand.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Get
just
reprinting
simple
your
stuff too. Like,
classic.
hey, maybe if you're gonna print Infinity Gauntlet, maybe you should have Thanos Quest included in that. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Just a
I
thought.
mean, seriously, just
Um,
like have some of the lead up. You know, like
yeah,
come on.
and I'm not asking for like all of the Silver Surfer issues that lead into it that explain how Thanos came back from the dead. Just Thanos
Like
Quest,
the
and
most
then Infinity
important.
Gauntlet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, I was reading a really old collection of um, Death of Jean DeWolf, and
Oh, that's the way it was.
I forgot completely that that's the story where Peter and Daredevil or Peter and Matt Murdock reveal to each other that they're Spider-Man and Daredevil respectively,
Right.
and that's where that friendship kind of blossoms because
Mm.
they were already like kind of friends. They were like already friendly with each other,
Oh yeah.
or at the very least as friendly as anyone in the Marvel universe can be with Spider-Man. um, but yeah, no, like that was a great relationship. And I love how you just kind of like watch their friendship like grow and change and blossom, even well into like the Bendis material. God, I love that so much.
Yeah,
Uh,
their relationship was it was always a very interesting and very stabilizing thing for both of them. It keeps both of them, yes, which is part of the reason why I kind of don't like the fact that Peter is so much younger than Charlie Cox or the actor. He's in high school Fox is like an adult, so it's going to be a mentor-mentee thing, which I already have way too much of. Like a lot of these super type stuff, especially Spider-Man, this early Spider-Man. So it's like it would have been better if they would just like
I mean, true, but like also, it's kind of like that in the old stuff with Stan Lee.
kinda, yeah, but like I
Because
feel
like
like this is
how old is or like on average how old is someone who passes the bar? Like they're in their late 20s, right? At that point, with
mid
like
to late.
an established practice, you're looking at being in your late 20s. And Peter Parker was I think 17 when he first met Daredevil, so like that gap's always been there.
Yeah, but like now he's like, okay, I guess no, because if he's 18, Charlie Cox clearly it's they're damn near pushing close to a 20-year age
I
difference.
mean, true,
Fine, let's say
but he,
maybe let's say 15, 16 years. Let's say Charlie Cox is 33 and Pete's 8.
well, even if that's the case, I
Yeah,
mean, there's always the ultimate uh, version of their relationship, which I also like. I
yeah.
mean, it's very different from the 616, but
Daredevil almost straight up kills Vanessa.
yeah,
Literally has to convince him, no, don't, please, this isn't you. He was like, no, this man's a monster. He has to be stopped. This
yeah.
is his own weakness.
I I
Yeah,
really love the
man.
Ultimate Universe version of those characters.
Ooh,
Um,
that took a story to a very dark place.
I mean that story was
He's
okay, but
thinking,
Ultimate Spider-Man's already in a dark place.
no, it is. No, don't get me wrong.
It's
It is
basically like,
crazy
hey,
to
what if
see.
the Stan Lee Steve Ditko material happened, but like all this like weird '80s stuff was happening at the same time as the Steve Ditko and Stan Lee material. Um,
Like hardcore gangland stuff.
yeah,
Legitimate, like kid prostitutes, like smuggling crack cocaine throughout like different boroughs and shit.
that's that good stuff,
Yeah,
huh?
this is Frank Miller. This is Frank Miller reimaginings of Stanley and Steve Ditko stuff. Well,
Well, that's kind of the thing
this is
with
dark.
well, that's kind of the thing with Frank Miller's legacy. I think Frank Miller is directly responsible for the way we write. And when I say we, I mean like Marvel, like just that's how Marvel writes the character of the Kingpin now. Um,
Oh yeah, very much so.
like even in like Spider-Man stuff, uh,
Yeah.
you're not looking at like the old classic Spider-Man version of Kingpin. You're looking at like Frank Miller's born again Kingpin,
Yeah.
like with all
Well,
the
for
monitors and
Daredevil, yeah.
the smoke and the
Yeah.
stogie.
And then even with I was gonna say for Daredevil, especially with Spider-Man, it's like a slight version of that, but it's still that.
100%.
Like, yeah, he's Wilson Fisk. He's a man of no weakness, no love, no caring. That's it.
Well, that's kind of what makes
Probably.
me interested about the freshman year series, which I think comes out either next year or the year after.
Is
Um,
it gonna have Kingpin? I think Kingpin was. Is Kingpin involved?
no, but Daredevil is.
Oh, so Kingpin probably.
Would be
Or the
interesting.
Owl.
It would be interesting. Um, although after
Or
watching
Kingpin.
Hawkeye,
It
I don't
might.
really have any interest in the MCU Kingpin anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
So they'll probably do something like maybe Owl. Something. Ooh, the Rose would be cool. They're never.
they're never
Doing
gonna do the
it.
Rose.
I lost that opportunity.
Um,
We lost that opportunity from the '90s. Damn.
yeah. Although the Owl would be great. I really like the Owl. My introduction to the
He's hit
Owl
or
was
miss for me, but I get you.
that's true. Um,
Yeah, he's hit or miss, but I understand what people like. They're fine.
yeah, no, I mean, okay. So my
Anyway,
introduction to the Owl was not in Daredevil. It was in God damn it, the Mark
Luke.
Miller and Terry and Rachel Dodson Marvel Knights Spider-Man run.
Uh,
Yeah, where the Owl just like
okay,
viciously
cool.
has Electro and Vulture beaten near death for not bringing him his money. That was a really good story.
Um,
Also, completely, I don't want to say legitimized Electro as a threat, but like that story really highlighted just how threatening Electro and Vulture really could be. But that's like something Mark Millar excels at doing.
hmm.
Um,
He could be pretty, like, he could be a pretty solid player.
oh yeah, I absolutely.
But a lot of people nowadays think it's cool to like hate on him, which is like, I, you know, like actual,
Well,
like
yeah,
Ant
cool.
could write something very
He's the
similar.
joke. He's the
You-
kingpin.
Yeah,
He's Kingpin Junior. He wants to be Kingpin, but he can't be because he's not level headed enough. Which is an idea that Zdarsky plays up really heavy in his run.
well, yeah, it's also funny because like when I read, like when I think about like some of the older like 90s and 2000s stuff that I actually really like that I know will never be adapted into the MCU because it's too real.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hate about the MCU because I know there's some stuff that will be like so adapted. Like there's this one comic I think it's part of the Marvel Knights run where there's that one bystander who for some reason decides to touch a bomb and he ends up getting like really badly hurt. And he's like asking Spider-Man, "Hey, can you swim to the hospital?" And Spider-Man really can't. He wants to, but he has to do stuff. He's like, "Man, I'm gonna sue you." He's like, he told you not to on it. Why'd you touch it?
Well, that's
And
also
it's
a
like,
thing. Like, I, and that is from that Marvel Knight Spider-Man run.
yeah,
Um,
it is. Yeah, I was remembering that too. I was actually about to Google it
yeah, that's that
myself. I was like,
first
that's the
issue.
one where, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm just not looking at it now. It's like, well, dude, like, why are you upset with him? Like, you decided to push the coupons. Now, like, you exploded yourself. And that's not his fault. He told you not to touch
True. We also don't. Well, again, not we. Um, Marvel creators don't write the Marvel universe like that anymore.
it. Yeah, they know.
They don't write Marvel universe civilians to be just complete dumbasses who resent superheroes because the Marvel
Mm,
universe at this point is basically just a baby version of the DC universe.
yeah. Yeah, I
I mean,
guess,
sometimes you'll see shades of the classic Marvel universe. Um,
uh,
I'm really loving the current Iron Man series by Cafu and Christopher Cantwell. That feels just quintessential classic Marvel to me. Um, Especially in the way that like Tony Stark just talks to people sometimes. He has that whole diatribe about how oh, I'm so much better than everyone else in the world because I'm smart and I don't have to play by your rules. You know that, right? Like I have a cool suit of armor and I could do whatever the fuck I want. I could kill you right now if I wanted to. And you find out that Tony is just having a mental breakdown as he's reading the menu at like a Wendy's. And the cashier's like, "Sir, this is a Wendy's."
no, that is actually really.
Yeah, like stuff like
It's
that.
like you
Okay,
said, they don't
every
write
once in a while
them.
there's a classic Marvel Universe thing, but I feel like on the whole, the Marvel Universe is basically just a baby DC at this point.
And they're scared to like. I feel like that's part of the problem. They're scared to like love the way acting like it needs to be written. So it's like,
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying
but I
it's
think
the
that's also like
originals.
the price of the MCU skyrocketing Marvel comics to such like commercial acclaim that now the Marvel universe has to be softened up to be digestible for the mass audiences that are kind of taking in more Marvel content now.
Yeah, it just really just hurts the fan. It's really, um, it's not those fans.
Yeah, it'd be like
It could
that.
be argued that they're not getting a real Marvel experience, so they're sort of losing out themselves. They just don't know it. When you try to explain to them, they call us like elitists, or they call us like really shitty things. Because it's like, well, don't tell us how we're supposed to enjoy comics, movies, TV shows, and movies. It's like, well, I know what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm just trying to give you an experience, but if you don't want it, fine. It is what it
Yeah, no, that I don't know. This also leads into like a whole debate around like gatekeeping, um,
is.
and I'm actually I I'm kind of gearing on the side of gatekeeping's not that bad. Uh,
Yeah, it's
maybe you
not.
shouldn't let everybody in.
Especially if the people you let, they can everything that we all love.
And
If
it's
you
not
let them
even
keep saying it.
like a elitism thing. It's like a I'm not sure if people, like if people still go to clubs or not, but some clubs have a dress code. If you show up with like a wrinkly ass like t-shirt and you're like not clean shaven and you look kind of scraggly, you're not invited into the club. I'm starting to feel like comics should be the same way. Don't start saying shit if you haven't actually read the book. you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at least try to seem knowledgeable about some of the stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
be
the shit
honest if you're not.
knows.
You know.
Yeah,
Um, I say that as I have that exact problem where sometimes I'll say I've read this thing and really I haven't. I've read stuff around that thing, which makes you think I've read it. Like Anna Sinti's Daredevil. I've read stuff around Anna Sinti's Daredevil. I've read issues that take place in like during the Sinti's run, but I haven't actually read that entire run
and I
to
tell you the
completion.
honest to goodness truth. Like I'm going to say, in my opinion, it's not the stuff that directly has something to do with like because a lot of her stuff is extremely political. So for me, it's like her best stuff was like the Kingpin and Typhoon. The other stuff is like okay, it's cool or interesting at times. And for me, whenever I always tend to turn back to her, specifically her Typhoid Mary. Yeah, just read that stuff. It's like that's well. There's also like some other stuff that's pretty good stuff that involves specifically the Doom stuff, but that's only like 2 issues, 3 issues. So it's like as long as you read the Kingpin and Typhoid Mary stuff, it's cool. You know, you
Huh.
get the best version of that.
All right. Well, I mean, again, it's all collected in the Epic Collection, so I'm gonna get it all.
Mm.
Like the crackhead that I am. Because I can't help myself, apparently.
It's like that sometimes. There's something that you just have to read.
Yeah. I had that with the Bendis run. I read it as a kid. I have some of those issues, but I like to collect it. I don't know. I got my vices. They're worse vices to have, but still. Um,
Right, but not, there was I couldn't just read Shermax. I actually had to buy.
wait, Shrek.
Oh, and hmm?
I heard I heard the words. I can't actually just watch Shrek. I have to have it. I was like, what?
No, I said I can't just read Punisher Max. I have to buy. I had to buy it, so I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I felt like and I've reread it. I don't know how many times, but I felt like I couldn't just read it the one time. I literally had to buy it so I could like really enjoy it and just like reread it at my own pleasure. So it was just one of those things.
That's a
That
great
I
read, by the way.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Um, it does kind of suck that like it's like Garth Ennis grows the Punisher Max line out of his resentment of superheroes and
mhm,
how I think in an interview he talks about how Punisher can't be an effective character in a world where Daredevil's just gonna like show up out of nowhere and like throw a billy club at his face and go like, "You can't kill people." Um, and that's the entire point of the Punisher because the Punisher's not a hero.
yeah.
But
I mean, like again, it's like how he used to be written. And he's a mass murderer, and he's a villain. Like, and essentially just a villain who has a more villainous target. I still, oh,
Yeah.
it's one of those things like, man, he's just people really think he's essentially just like an American. Guns. Well, no, he's not.
Yeah, no, totally. Um, but I think it's actually a pretty good place to cap off.
Okay,
Um,
you're sure. Yeah.
well, just because like it's getting a little late.
No,
Um,
I get you. I get you.
I
Yeah,
wish I did
man.
this a little earlier. I just had some technical problems. Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, no, I'm glad I got to talk about Daredevil for an obscene amount of time with you again. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know you wanted to do this like a second part two because you didn't feel like we talked about Daredevil enough, but yeah. Um,
Yeah.
oh, actually, quick question.
Mm,
All right, but like to
yeah.
cap it off. Um,
Yeah.
like the this is just the obnoxious like YouTuber side of me coming out. Um, who's your favorite Daredevil artist? Like when you think of Daredevil, like what art do you think of?
To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
mm, it's either Malev or um, Malev or the Wait. Who did it for Wait? I'm trying to remember. I used to know his name.
Chris
Something
Samney?
Hispanic. Well, you told me to be dead honest. You're asking me who do I think of when I think of Daredevil artwork. I think of Malev. Malev has like so like stuck in my head. So it was either Malev or because Soul's artwork, the artwork on Soul's Run is good, sure, it's fine, but it's not like nothing special. But like,
You know,
yeah,
I wasn't judging you. It's just you pronounce names weird.
oh, Alex, is his name not Alex Malev?
It's Alex Maleev.
Is it Maleev?
Maleev.
Maleev. Oh,
Alex
okay,
Maleev and Chris
Maleev. Alex Maleev.
Samney or Somney. Chris Somney. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Um.
Okay, fair enough. Who's your favorite artist?
Um.
Is it Marv Wolfman? I was actually my second answer was going to be Marv, or not Marvel. Yeah, Marvel.
No. 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 I thought Marv Wolfman was a writer.
Oh, he doesn't also do artwork.
Not that I know of.
He did like a little bit. Okay, who am I thinking of then from the '70s? Who did some of the original Bullseye artwork from like not the original Bullseye artwork, but like the '70s Bullseye artwork?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now though. It's not coming to me.
I always think it's Wolfman because I know Wolfman created Bullseye, but I can't remember the name of the artist who I'm thinking of.
Lin
I have to
Wein?
Google
No,
it.
no, not Lin Wein. Um, I'm too lazy to look it up right now. But
It might have been Ramita Senior. It might like
I
that's
I
I'm thinking about it.
I feel like Bullseye shows up after Ramita Senior's done though, because Ramita
Well,
Senior
okay,
is
so
not. Because Bullseye shows up after a lot of the Black Widow, Daredevil
yeah,
era, where they're dating.
okay.
But yeah, you know what?
Hmm.
Favorite like I guess artist who I think of when I think of Daredevil. Um, is weird, but
Hmm.
Lee Bermejo.
Oh,
I think of Lee
okay.
Bermejo when I think of Daredevil. Um,
Underrated, but fine. It's
yeah, it's
solid.
weird because he hasn't really done like a series at all. It's just he's done a couple paintings here and there, and the way he renders the costume, the way he renders New York, that just feels very much like my aesthetic for Daredevil. Um, but I also love the way you draw Spider Man, and I would kill someone to I would sacrifice someone like just like on a spire on the internet so I could get just a one shot Daredevil Spider-Man team up drawn and painted by Lee Bermejo. That would be so perfect. But yeah, no, yeah. I'm gonna say Lee Bermejo. Final answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the thing for Daredevil 131, and yeah, because the artworks have been so. This was Bob Brown and Klaus Janson who does a lot of the other stuff.
Hmm.
So, okay, that makes sense. So, well, that was Daredevil 131 though. I know that.
That's weird.
Technically, Bullseye was created by Wolfman and Romita Sr., but Romita doesn't write that for first issue, I guess.
Hmm.
Romita doesn't. Yeah, it's fine, I guess.
Bizarre.
It's fine.
Yeah. Goes to show I don't know nearly as much as I always like to think I do.
It's also that comic. If I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to Daredevil, it's because Romita Senior and Junior, they had such a huge effect during the '60s, '70s, and '80s. I do think of Romita Junior for a lot of that Anacenti work.
Well, I like both, but
Like, no, I'm not saying one's better than the other. Junior, when it comes to that OG, that Nascenti works, how it just draws everything. It's all just so like overwhelmingly evil. Like what the characters bathed in like a certain shadow that it's done differently than other like draw artists. He makes Daredevil. He makes Kingpin look fatter than he usually looks, but he also makes him look like he's kind of been corrupted by the devil. And that's partly because like type of mirrors around, he just
as
looks so.
God intended.
Because like I'm looking at the original costume for like Bullseye, and it's too much like white. You know what I mean? They're at the
Yeah,
circus, and the
yeah.
outfit is very. I don't really love this outfit, but it's a work in progress.
I mean, it'd be how it be.
Again, in the second appearance of Legacy Bullseye, it's also again Bob Brown and Klaus
Yeah.
Janson. Oh yeah, I prefer very. Do you prefer his outfit when it's blue, white, or black and white? Do you like if it's a combination of all? Or,
Hmm. I don't know. That's the final. I don't know. That's the final answer. I
it's
can't say
okay.
right now. And not like
No, it's
I
fine.
can't. It's just I don't know.
I mean, it's fine either way.
Yeah.
It's like not that big of. I think I do prefer black and white. Not blue and white, because the blue and white just makes it look more interesting. A lot more.
Yeah. It also depends on like who's rendering it.
Yeah.
Um.
Um,
But yeah, no. I said we were like closing out like
we
20 minutes
are.
ago, but here we are.
Let me ask you: Did O'Neill ever do any of his own artwork? Right? Or
Not
am
that
I
I know of.
mistaken? He never did.
Not that I know of.
Fair enough.
But yeah. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. And Greg, thanks for coming back on the show.
Of course.
All right, and if you like
Let's
the
let's
video,
hope and pray for Stiltman.
yes, the greatest Marvel villain of all time.
Stiltman.
Second to Marvel editorial and their refusals to let Peter Parker grow and changes the character. Um, but thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like this content, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I'm the Mr. Green Beanie. This has been Greg.
Yes, it has.
Yep, and adios, nachos. Adios.